Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes Fantasy Basketball Podcast, hosted by hashtagbasketball.com. I am your host, Mike Catron, and joining me, as always, is the man who everyone cannot wait to hear his takes on, Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
I was wondering, do you have to say the .com when you say a website?
Yeah.
Is it just
I don't even
hashtag
think
basketball
people,
or is it .com? Like,
I don't
is that
think
necessary?
people even register it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we got rid of saying www, which, like, thank God we got rid of saying that, right? But, like, when someone says, oh, yeah, just go to, like, Amazon.com, no one says that, right? Because it's a popular website. Or go to Google. So you might be onto something there. But, you know, if it's like one of those ads, like, oh, go to Indochino.com.
I don't feel like we need the .com. Like, I think everyone knows that it's .com, don't they?
Yeah, you might be right.
I think, like, the only time you should have to say it is if it's, like, .co.uk or, like, something different. Or, like,
Well,
.com is just the standard.
It could be simply like, wait, maybe hashtag basketball is a magazine. I don't know. Maybe maybe people don't know, but they're listening to this podcast.
I think
But then they would just Google hashtag basketball and it'd take them right to the site. So I think you're I think you're right.
You would at least know something about hashtag basketball.
I think you're right.
Saying if you found the podcast, you'd know.
Let me do a plug for hashtag basketball then. Go out to hashtag basketball. Don't worry about this part that comes after that in the URL because you can just Google it because no one really types URLs anymore. And go check out all the free fantasy basketball tools, the free projections from Mark Roberts, who we had on our show not that long ago. And I suggest everybody go listen to that podcast. And just, you know, the drafts are coming up. There's plenty of tools out there. There's free projections, free rankings. And so go check out hashtag basketball.
The schedule thing, which has been Joey's, I think maybe first tool and main tool for a long time, is just amazing. That schedule tool that he does every year is just that's the first thing I've ever seen on hashtag
user
basketball.
Interfaces. Yeah, that was the first thing I started using there too, a handful of years ago, and it's so useful. And the user interface is really good. So it's just like it's very intuitive to use. Graphically, it's just very useful. You get what you need out of it very quickly.
I'm 100% behind that.
So we've been doing some team previews here. If you've made it this far, you've made it through a lot of trash teams, some pretty good teams, and some fairly interesting teams, and we're on the home stretch. So let's get right into our first team tonight.
Another dumpster fire.
Yeah, another dumpster fire, but at least an entertaining. Like there's someone threw glitter in the dumpster fire, and the kids will enjoy that. This team made some interesting moves last season, and brought on a few people that maybe a sane person or a well-run organization would know better. I actually can relate to a poorly run organization bringing one of the players in. This team is the New Orleans Pelicans. So, Tyler, let me ask you the question I always ask. What's the most interesting thing for the fantasy season next year with the New Orleans Pelicans?
I mean, I think does Rondo wreck it all? Does Rondo just steal the ball and take it and bogart it and do his terrible shooting and get his 50 assists but make the team stink?
Yeah, I mean, we went on I don't know if it was in the Chicago episode or if it was last episode, but when we talked about Jeff Teague and how we're kind of up on Jeff Teague, even though everybody else is out on Jeff Teague, we talked about one of the key fantasy players on the Pelicans, and that's Jrue Holiday. And I'm more interested in Jrue Holiday being affected by Rajon Rondo versus whether Rajon Rondo is going to be draftable. I think we know who Rajon Rondo is. I think we know who Anthony Davis is. I think we know who DeMarcus Cousins is. But Jrue Holiday has been, in and out of lineups for personal reasons, injury reasons, all incredibly valid. And I think bringing Rondo into a situation where Rondo has to be the primary ball carrier, as we saw in Chicago, is going to hurt Jrue Holiday.
Okay, are you getting into football, Mike?
What do you mean?
You said ball carrier like it was football.
Ball carrier. I am getting into football. It's not even comprehending in my brain. I don't really watch the NFL anymore. I used to, but as a Bears fan, there is no need to watch the NFL. But I have been getting into betting on the NFL, which is good, wholesome fun.
All right. So, anyways, yeah, I mean, I think Rondo is what he is. He's going to be Rondo. He's going to shoot those bad percentages and no threes and give you a boatload of assists. And I think it takes the ball out of Drew Holiday's hands enough where we see a drop in Drew Holiday's value. I talked about this a little bit last episode that Drew Holiday is a guy who just scares me this year. Sure, he was healthy last year, but those stress reactions in his legs could come back at any point. So you add that with maybe he's got the ball in his hands less. They all keep saying he's going to be a shooting guard, which I don't think is his best position. I think he's best with the ball in his hands. Plus, you got Cousins and Anthony Davis, who are both going to want the ball. I'm just a little down on Drew Holiday this year.
Yeah, I think you saw Drew Holiday when last year playing with both Anthony Davis and Cousins during the later half of the season. He did play fairly well, but he never really got back to that incredibly interesting type of fantasy player he once was. And a lot of people didn't know if that was rust or if it was just the way he looked with that team. But he's had a couple seasons with this team, though not playing too many games, where he's closing in on 8 assists and closing in on 15 points and a steal and a half, and his real value comes from that steal and a half and the high assists. And if you take those assists away, because Rondo's the primary ball handler, I'm going to say it again, and you give a few more possessions to Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. By the way, DeMarcus Cousins on a contract year. DeMarcus definitely be one of those players where that actually matters, I'm pretty sure.
And a good ball handler for a big man.
Oh, yeah, great. Absolutely great. I think you could see a little bit of a drop-off of Drew Holiday. Not significant, right? But enough where his production might start looking like he might fall out of the top 50.
I'm with you there. I think that's definitely a possibility. I said this yesterday that I think I'd rather have Jeff Teague than him, and I'm still on board with that. He's not in my top 50. He's not. He's just outside of it. There's just some guys there I think I want a little bit more, a little bit sexier names, and I mean maybe that's just me, but
I think he makes my top 50 if I didn't focus on getting a point guard up until later in the draft, and I want to make sure I get one of those last good point guards before the drop off.
Right. Okay.
But I think in most drafts, you gotta make sure you snag a point guard in the first or second round, because they should be available for you no matter where you pick.
I'll challenge you on that, because I mean I think there's just a lot of top good point guards like right around this range. Okay, so Schroeder or Drew Holiday?
Oof. Dennis Schroeder, because he's the only guy on that team doing anything.
Ricky Rubio or Drew Holiday?
Ricky Rubio. I like Ricky Rubio.
Mike Conley, Drew Holiday.
Mike Conley.
Let's see here. You got D'Angelo Russell or Drew Holiday?
I'd probably go Drew Holiday. I'm talking about Drew Holiday's probable finish, but I like the fact that Drew Holiday does have a little bit higher ceiling. I don't know what D'Angelo Russell's ceiling actually is. It could be phenomenal. I don't think it's going to be because we really haven't seen D'Angelo Russell be a fantasy stud. So I'll say Drew Holiday.
Not a great point guard pick because he's not going to get a ton of assists, I don't think. I mean, I think he's going to be in the 4.5, maybe 5 range. How about Goran Dragic?
I like Dragic.
Yeah, I think if you have all those guys ahead of him,
probably take Drew Holiday. But if
Drew Holiday, that's right on top 50 fringe, I think, because Dragic is probably right in there, right about top 50. So
I think there's a significant fall off after that, because then you're legitimately looking at guys like Elfrid Payton, who might be good, but has some flaws in his game. You're looking at Jeremy Lin, who actually might be sneaking his way up into the range of Goran Dragic and all those guys, depending on what that rotation looks like. And,
But you
and,
also
then, and
have,
then I'm looking for another point guard, and I'm where are they? They're
you
all
also
gone
have
by this point.
so many point guards off the board at that point. You have what, like 12, 14 point guards off the board at that point.
Yes.
So I mean, like, if
you're missing, and that's why I think Holiday's value or draft value is in the top 50, but his overall on the season value could drop off.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Let's talk about the rest of this team, and let's go right to the top. The one, the only, the man child himself, the unibrow, Anthony Davis. I love AD. I know who owners of AD probably have an incredible love-hate relationship with Anthony Davis, simply because it seems like every 2 to 3 weeks he twists an ankle or looks like he's hurt and he leaves the game, and everybody freaks out on Twitter for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then he comes back from the locker room and everybody's oh, never mind, Anthony Davis is fine, don't worry about it. But you legitimately hear Anthony Davis is out for the season at least 12 to 15 times during the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of was the reason I have Anthony Davis 7th, I think, is just, man, you hate those games where it's like, and it's always like some weird injury, right? Like he'll play for a little bit and like he'll trip over his own 2 feet and hurt his nose, or I don't know. The one time he got knocked in the eye or something and he went back to the locker room, never came back. Like, unless he like scratched his cornea or something, like I don't understand how you get hit in the eye and you're not like get poked in the eye and you're not fine in like a couple minutes.
Yeah, it's a little puzzling, but I'm sorry. This guy could be the number 1 overall player every year for the last 3 years, right? I think other than that Steph Curry year, he is legitimately that. If you look at his totals, even in the 2 years ago, when he only played 68 games, he was the 4th ranked player in the league. Last year he played 75 games. He was the 6th ranked player in the league.
But see, in head to head, you're losing the week that he sits out because his toenail breaks.
Oh, sure, but you're winning every single other week because he's on your team. You're dominating in blocks and rebounds. He's a great on both of the percentages by quite a bit for a center. He scores in massive bunches, even with the addition of DeMarcus Cousins. And he threw in a half a 3 last year and the year before that. I don't know where that goes. If it still sticks around a half a 3, great. His per game value is basically out of this world, and his per game value is the best center in fantasy.
Oh, I'm with you there. I just think that I want the safety. I mean, like I've been saying this for a while, right? That the top 8 is all so close, and I could see them all being 1st or 8th. I just have him 7th because I feel a little bit safer about Kevin Durant, about Giannis, about Karl-Anthony Towns, about Westbrook, about Curry, about Harden, in the sense that I feel safer about them playing pretty much every game, and I feel safer in the sense that I just know what I'm going to get there. I'm just afraid that one of these years Anthony Davis has the year where something actually gets injured on him. And he's out for a while.
And there's nothing but good karma I'd like to see after a statement like that to Anthony Davis, because the NBA is better with Anthony Davis. He's a Chicago product, and I want to see him healthy. I want to see him to be I'm desperate to see him be the best fantasy player one season.
And that's it. I mean, I don't think it's out of the question to say it. Like, if you told me Anthony Davis finishes 1st in fantasy this year, I would probably go, "Oh yeah, I'm not surprised."
I'd be excited because that means the NBA was really good that year for him too, and so he's just an incredible player to watch. I am a little bit on board with you. We said the top 8, top 7 probably are a bit interchangeable. So if you really love AD, take him with your 1st pick, right? But
like a Kawhi Leonard hater, you heard it here first.
It's not true. I think you can make an argument in head-to-head that Kawhi drops out of the running of someone you would take 1st overall. But in Roto, you can still make that argument. In fact, in Roto, you could make the argument that you probably should not take Harden or Westbrook in a 9-cat roto league.
And the statement for Kawhi, and I maybe said this in the Spurs preview. I don't know. It's a long time ago. It seems like we did that one. The statement for Kawhi going number 1 is that he pushes closer to 25 points a game. If he can do that, he's right up there with the rest of them. And I think they're going to need more Kawhi this year with Ginobili a year older and Tony Parker probably not playing till at least the new year. They're going to need a little bit more Kawhi, and if he can get up to 25 a game, I mean, he's right up there with the rest of them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'm not going to take AD over first overall. I said, I think last episode that Kevin Durant is my number 1 overall pick for any league, unless you play with a bunch of dumb categories that nobody cares about.
Even in the quad doubles league?
Yes, even in the quad doubles league, because no one's getting a quad double this year, you idiots. Stop playing with that category.
That's my only category. It's my new league.
Yeah, that sounds like a great league. Like I said, Lonzo Ball is the first overall pick in the league. So yeah, Anthony Davis does in a head-to-head league fall to the bottom of my top 8, but in a roto league, I'm willing to take him at 3, 2,
1.
You can make that argument. I'm not taking him at 1. And that's the concern is that injury history that he has of kind of just being inconsistently on the court.
The thing that bothers me is just the weird injuries, like the little bumps and bruises thing.
That doesn't bother me so much because it's not a recurring injury.
But see, like, it's going to happen. Like, with some of these other guys, you can go like, okay, he's going to play 80 games. He's going to play 75 games. With Anthony Davis, like, he's going to play like 70 games because it's just going to be some weird little thing. But
in this day and age, a lot less people are playing 80 games. So,
I'm with you.
It's a little less volatile there. Let's talk about the other big man on this team.
First round pick.
That's
all I want to know. Is he a first round pick?
Someone that I truly, truly love. One of my favorite fantasy basketball players, DeMarcus Cousins, and I will state that in a 12-team league, he should be taken in the first round. I could not fit him into my top
actually 10. In a head-to-head. I think that, like, on that turn, whether you say he's first or you say he's second, I think he's great in a head-to-head league to have right there first, second round, whatever you want to. I mean, basically both you guys are the same, right? They're both first round-ish in a 10-team. If you take him and John Wall in the turn, I'm loving that team.
Absolutely. And here coming up next week, as we approach the preseason, we will be doing some team building exercises. And to me, I know exactly what I'm going to do if I'm at the bottom half or bottom 3 of the first round, depending on what size of league we talk about. I'm 100%. There's a 100% chance I'm getting DeMarcus Cousins. I'm not going to take him over Jokic.
Oh, big mistake, Mike.
I think you can, right? I think there's an argument for that. But in a roto league, I'm not taking him over Jokic. In a head-to-head league, now I'm interested.
In a roto league, he slips just because if you're counting turnovers, the turnovers for not Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins are always pretty high.
Yeah, he loves turning the ball over.
And so I could see the case for Jokic in a 9-cat roto league, but in head-to-head, I want Cousins all day over Jokic all day long.
And I'm not even going to try to argue against that because that is a correct statement. It's really in that second tier it's another up to you kind of moment where, hey, whatever your favorite player is out of these next 4 or 5 guys, grab them, do it. And DeMarcus Cousins is one of my favorite players, so I will grab him. One of the things that I truly love about DeMarcus Cousins is the fact that down the stretch when he was in New Orleans, he was averaging 2 3-pointers a game as a center who got 12 rebounds.
Dude can shoot, man.
The guy can shoot. He's amazing.
He is like super underrated too, in the sense that he kind of hung out there in Sacramento and didn't get the love he deserved because the team never won. But I mean, the dude is just an amazing player.
He is. If he can get past some of the shenanigans that he pulls on the court, in the locker room, as we've heard some stories coming out of Sacramento's locker room after he left. DeMarcus Cousins could easily be the best player in this league, and we saw a similar player who did not have this immense talent, but still had a similar kind of a come up in the league, and that guy was Zach Randolph. And Zach Randolph, a lot of people said he's uncoachable. Well, Zach Randolph was the most coachable player over the last 7 years. Zach Randolph is a testament to not judging a book by its cover, and I have hope for DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus is 27 though, but this is a contract year for him, so he's going to get his. He's going to be taking more shots than he did last year this year, and he's going to be shooting more threes. And I love DeMarcus Cousins. I love him.
And let's talk about this as far as the rest of the team goes. I mean, after those kind of big four guys they got, who the hell else are they really excited to give minutes to? I mean, they don't have a small forward. They don't have a three.
Let's go there. Let's go to the depth chart right now. We don't have a clue who's going to be playing the three on this team.
And they don't really have a good option, right?
No, I don't think they do. In fact, the what makes a lot of sense, which why not try it? You're not going to win a championship this year. Sorry, everyone who's not the Golden State Warriors, but why not just throw Rondo, Drew Holiday, and Etuan Moore out in a weird 3-guard lineup and just see what happens?
So you like Etuan Moore over guys like Ian Clark?
Yeah, I do. I like Etuan Moore. I think he's a really solid, slightly above average NBA player on both sides of the court.
I hate him for fantasy. He just does not produce.
Oh, certainly. He's not an interesting fantasy player. I liked him when he was on the Bulls, and I'd have no idea why we let him go and then signed a bunch of guards who couldn't play in the NBA when Etuan Moore could definitely play in the NBA and could spread the floor out. I had to take a pot shot at Chicago. It's in my contract for this show. If I have to take one pot shot at Chicago every single episode.
So they did sign Dante Cunningham, who I think they're going to give some of the minutes to. Probably significant minutes, at least until Solomon Hill comes back. Once Solomon Hill comes back, I mean, I think he's going to get a lot of those small forward minutes. Honestly, I mean, we can get into it now. If I'm going for someone in a deep league on this team, I mean, God, I don't know. I don't really want Etuan Moore.
Is it Chuck Diallo?
Honestly, it's Ian Clark, just because I think he can score a little bit and shoot some threes. And Mark's projections in 25 minutes, he's 11 points, 2.3 assists, 2.6 rebounds, almost a steal, 1.4 3-pointers on some decent percentages. I mean, I think he can get 25 minutes. I don't think anyone's stopping him from getting 25 minutes. And I mean, those are decent numbers. I don't love him, but in a deep league, I guess I'll eat him.
Yeah, and we're talking fairly deep leagues because his upside is not. Let's say he plays 32 minutes a game. It's his fantasy value.
That's a 14-team league, right? 16-team league. I mean, that's like a top. I don't know. Great. I mean, I'm looking at him at like 150, 160, 170, like somewhere in there. Like it's not in a sexy place.
Can Tony Allen still play? Is he? He's always a steals streamer in a lot of head-to-head leagues. I think he's going to get quite a few minutes on this team.
And that could be a deep league special too, right? Is in the sense that just if you need the steals.
Yeah, why not?
You can maybe go for him.
If you're in a deeper league and you're low on steals, just put him on the bench and stream him into your lineup.
Yeah.
One guy we failed to talk about, kind of overlooked. We didn't fail to talk about it. Is the late great Rajon Rondo.
I don't think there's anything to say about Rajon Rondo, to be honest.
What do you mean there's nothing to say? He's trying to say he's not staying in the league value?
No, I'm saying I said what I wanted to say about him, that he shoots crappy percentages and no 3-pointers, but he's going to get you a ton of assists and no points.
So if
you want a ton of assists? Congratulations. Good on you, man.
So where are you drafting him? I think, like we did originally say, we know who Rajon Rondo is. We know who he is.
Well, I'm drafting him after all of the point guards I talked about, unless I am just in dire need for assists.
Yeah, if I crap the bed on assists, if I got 2 point guards who are low in assists, maybe you picked up Dame Lillard and then you went, someone like Jeff Teague, who we both like. Their assists are good, but they're not those elite assists like Chris Paul and John Wall provide. So maybe you're a little bit desperate for those assists. You don't want to punt assists, and then all of a sudden Rondo is much more valuable.
I talked about Ricky Rubio being fourth in the league in assists yesterday. I mean, this is the competition, right? I mean, it's going to be Westbrook, it's going to be Wall, it's going to be Chris Paul as far as point guards go, and then James Harden will probably be up there too. I mean, but if we count him as a shooting guard or whatever, I mean, assist or assist, when you get him, you get him. It's going to be Rubio and it's going to be Rondo for that next spot, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you see Rajon Rondo sitting around in the 7th round, are you going to take him? Let's say you have good assists. You're not gonna blow this league away, but you're gonna compete in assists.
In a roto league, I don't want Rondo.
No,
not at all.
He significantly drops those. I actually think you can roster him in a roto league, but he is your bench player. He is a bench player.
Yes. So I mean, let's get that out right away. Now, I'm assuming you're saying head to head.
Yes, in a head-to-head league.
In a head-to-head, I mean, he's a very much a system fit, right? I mean, like, there are teams where I don't want him, right? If the thing I'm punting is assists, do I want Rondo at all? I mean, no, right?
Of course not.
Not even as my last pick.
That's his only skill. Well, no, that's not true. He does get steals because he plays the passing lanes instead of playing defense.
And good rebounds for a point guard, but with those other two stealing all the rebounds, is he going to have that many?
No, I don't think so.
And so that's one of his better skills, right? And that's going to get diminished by the team that he's on, I think.
I think that's a pretty good point.
I mean, God, at like 75, I might start looking at him. But now, if I'm in dire need for assists and that's not a category I'm punting, like I might look at him at like 60.
Sure.
But I just always feel like in that range, I'm going to see someone I'm like, I'd rather have you than Rondo. I'd rather have.
He's definitely a good guy to pick up if he meets your punting strategy, like so he fits because you want those steals and assists. You don't care about points, or some of the percentages. Then when you get him because he's still hanging around in the 7th round, you actually picked up a steal there.
Yeah, I mean,
reaching for Rondo makes no sense in any situation.
If you look at Mark's projections and you take turnovers out of the equation, so 8 category leagues, he ranks 51st. I'll take Mark to task a little bit on the rebounds at 6 a game. I mean, that seems like a lot for Rondo.
Yeah, I think you got to drop that down.
But all the other numbers, I mean, could he get 8.8 assists? I mean, I think we could see that. I think we could see more than that.
Sure. Possibly. There's 2 really great guys to pass to.
And so, I mean, other than the rebounds, I think that's a pretty safe projection. So if you cut the rebounds down a little bit, that probably drops into like 60, 65. But, I mean,
that's super fair.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not excited. I'm probably not going to own Rondo much this year because I think I'll be fairly solid in assists. And I talk about this sometimes. Is really what I want to have in my fantasy team is guys I want to watch play and guys I want to cheer for and guys I think that are going to play well. Right, guys I can get behind. Rondo's not a guy I get behind, man. I'm not a fan.
No, he's incredibly frustrating to watch, and even in Chicago when he was playing his best basketball, you knew he's not a long-term situation, and so he's not fun to watch.
Well, and he just like kills the offense in the sense that it's like he's just looking to pad his stats like most of the time. It's like it's not beautiful basketball,
which is fine with fantasy, right? But it's not good for the rest of that team.
So I will probably not own Rondo if I'm making a long story short.
Sure. So let's leave beautiful, lovely New Orleans, that a city that everyone should visit, and go to the jewel of the Midwest, which is not a compliment, the Oklahoma City Thunder. One of the more interesting teams when it comes to the NBA, but fantasy-wise, I'm not sure there's a ton of interesting things on this team. So I'll start with the same old question. What's the most interesting fantasy thread for the Oklahoma City Thunder this year?
I guess it's Paul George and how the hate's gone a little too far, I think.
Ooh, interesting. I mean, if you were living, like we said, in the Indiana episode, what happened with Paul George moving to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Oklahoma losing Victor Oladipo and a Sabonis in that trade. Also, Taj Gibson no longer with the wonderful team, but don't worry, all you Chicago Bulls fans, Doug McDermott is still on this team. Yeah, I think this is. Yeah, I only watch for Doug McDermott and his 0 assists every game. Yeah, this is. I think the thread in the NBA and the thread in fantasy is like how are these two guys going to play with each other?
And I made this statement last time. Actually, here I'll restate my statement after I ask you this question. Where are you looking for Paul George?
Second round.
It's the Mike only league. Okay, so it's Mike only league again. So where are you taking him? You got him like mid.
I have an answer. I have an answer to this question. Paul George. I'm taking him in the middle of the second round. Out of pure bias reasons, I am not taking him ahead of Jimmy Butler.
I'm with you there, and I think that like a lot of times Paul George falls to like 20, and I mean we're splitting hairs here, right? I mean like the difference between 15 and 20 is not a huge amount, but
no,
I mean I think he's more in that like 15, 16, 17 range than he is at 20. I mean I don't see why. I made the statement in I think the last episode when we talked about Indiana where it was I think Paul George is more Kevin Durant than he is Victor Oladipo. He's going to be an alpha personality, and he's going to make Russell Westbrook give him the ball.
Yeah, and you saw a severe drop-off from Victor Oladipo with Westbrook handling the ball, but Oladipo's, I guess, skill set where Oladipo was coming from was kind of being a combo guard with a guard that passed, and Westbrook. I'm not fairly sure Westbrook really trusted Oladipo or liked Oladipo for that matter, because Oladipo's game suffered. On the flip side of that, Paul George is a guy who can run a team by himself. He did that in Indiana for a very long time. And so I see the same kind of thing. You know, I don't think Russell Westbrook is going to freeze Paul George out. By any means. And a lot of the people who are saying, oh, you know, Paul George's production is going to take a huge hit. I don't really see that at all. I think Russell Westbrook makes Paul George much better, actually.
I'm with you. I think we could see some better percentages from Paul George, which is sometimes the biggest worry for him. And I mean, I'm really on Paul George this year. Not so much in the sense that I'm looking at him in the end of the first round, but as a nice second round pick, I'd love that Paul George.
Oh, definitely. And like I said, I'm not taking him ahead of Jimmy Butler because of Jimmy Butler reasons. I also think Jimmy Butler will be a better all-around 9-cat player. So if Paul George is a middle of the second round type of player for you, who probably could improve in threes and perhaps shooting percentage because teams now have to send their second best defender to Paul George instead of their best defender. Where do you have Russell Westbrook? Are we going to see another triple-double season?
No, I don't think we are. I think that was a historically great season, and I think Russell Westbrook needed to get that one out of the system, but I think that things are going to go back to more Kevin Durant levels and maybe a little bit better for Russ, but I think Russ is going to let Paul George do Paul George things, and I think he's going to do Russell Westbrook things. I have Russell Westbrook third. I have said maybe a crazy statement in one of the last episodes that I have Curry first, and I'll stick by that. And I have James Harden second and Russell Westbrook third. So,
yeah, I mean, those rankings make sense. They really do in a head-to-head league. A lot of people, I think, are as far out as you can be about Russell Westbrook, which means he's still a first-round player. He's still a first-round pick. I think there's quite a few people who think Russell Westbrook's, he's not even going to come close to a triple-double. And he's still the primary ball handler on this team. He's still going to take a ton of shots. He's going to look a little bit more like he did when he was with Kevin Durant, right? But when he was with Kevin Durant, he was still a top 5, top 6 player.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think he probably gets more like 25 points. I mean, maybe 26. Probably the rebounds drop to the 8.5, 9 level. Probably the assists drop to 10, maybe a little bit below. The steals are probably down to what they were. I mean, I don't see him getting 2 steals like he got there with Kevin Durant. I think they're probably more like they were last year, 1.6, 1.7. The field goal percentage will be interesting in the sense that, I mean, he shot that 45% one year. I think he's probably more, even a little bit better than last year, probably like 43. I mean, I love it, but it's just like there's those little chinks in the armor that I don't think keeps him up there at number one.
Yeah, and I'm going to go I'll agree with that when it comes to making him the number one overall pick. But if you want to make him the number one overall pick, especially in a head-to-head league when turnovers don't matter, or 8-cat league, then do it, because he's going to shoot a high volume of free throws, and that's going to be really good. He's going to literally do everything else incredibly well other than have a high field goal percentage, and that's great.
And it's super weird, right, that like all three of the top players have a secondary wingman that's going to be like right there, in the second round at least. Value it. You got Harden with Paul, and Curry with Durant, and Westbrook with Paul George. I mean, it's just weird. It's how the NBA is going that way.
I know, it's very strange, and I'd much rather have Chris Paul over someone like Paul George, because I just think Chris Paul and D'Antoni's system is going to be so good. But a lot of people were complaining like, oh, Westbrook was chasing rebounds. All right, well, he was chasing like 3.5 rebounds a game. If you take 3.5 rebounds away from him, he's still averaging over 7 rebounds a game.
His last 3 seasons, 7.3, 7.8, 10.7. You got to think he's somewhere over 7. I mean,
yeah. And he's going to take a lot more threes, as he did last year, because that's just the way the league's going. So I think we've settled that we both still like Russell Westbrook, do not shy away from him in the first round, even high in the first round, especially in a head-to-head league. Let's talk about, really, is there anyone else to talk about on this team?
I mean, Steven Adams is going to be his standard league value, but I think we know what Steven Adams is. Good rebounds, double-double guy a lot of nights, good field goal percentage.
There was a lot of hype around Steven Adams there at the beginning of the season. He was playing heavier minutes, and he was a 1-and-1 type of guy. In fact, I think his steals were like strangely high during the first half of the season, and they kind of tailed back off to the mean later in the season, where he still averaged a 1-and-1, 8 rebounds and 11 points. He's really a good utility center to bring in. He's going to give you very consistent nights. And almost the exact opposite is Enes Kanter, who I like a little bit less because he doesn't give you the counting stats, but on a per-minute basis, which I do not see Enes Kanter's minutes going up at all for any reason, right? He still comes in 20-some minutes and gives you 15 points and 6 rebounds with a half a steal and a half a block and a good percentage. And that's valuable at the tail end of your draft, or as someone you could stream if you're a little weak in those categories. 14 points a game at the end of a draft is nothing to scoff about.
Oh, and I love Enes Kanter. Just big rebounds, big points. You gotta love that. I think Steven Adams sometimes gets underrated, and then sometimes he's overvalued. It all just depends on the year.
Yeah, I think people will look at what he ranked last year, I would say, and draft him a little bit higher than you would think. I think he ended up being the 88th player in 8-cat leagues, it looks like, if I'm looking at these statistics right. And I can see him going in a very similar spot. And he should probably have a very similar season.
Small Steven Adams, who would you rather here?
Sure.
Nerlens Noel, Steven Adams.
Oh, that is an excellent question.
I bring the hard-hitting question.
I was very ready to tell you that I would easily take Clint Capella over Steven Adams. Who I like Noel's ceiling more, so I'm taking Noel. Because you're looking for ceilings late in the draft, not consistently solid players. So if you got a guy with a ceiling like Noel, because if Noel kind of doesn't perform as well as we think he will, he'll still put up Steven Adams esque numbers, other than the scoring, obviously.
Gortat.
Even the scoring is not that great. I'm out on Gortat. That guy's terrible. Do not draft Marcin Gortat. Everyone, attention, everyone. Do not draft Marcin Gortat.
Are you getting on the Hernan Gomez hype train for the Knicks over Steven Adams? I'm not.
No, I'm not. Joakim Noah's going to play minutes.
Oh my, we talked about that in the Knicks one. That I'm out on that, and a lot of guys are hyping him up pretty hard, and I am super, super out on that.
I got one for you: Jonas Valanciunas or Steven Adams.
Now, see, here's the craziness of Jonas Valanciunas. Okay,
have we done Toronto? Have we done Toronto yet? I think we did.
Yeah, we did. Even in the crapness of Jonas Valanciunas' minutes, which never go up, and everyone always thinks they should.
Yeah,
he always seems to be a little bit better ranked than Steven Adams, doesn't he?
They always he does seem to be always hovering around that bottom 80-90 range every year. But with the occasional weeks where Jonas like bumps up to like the 50 range and everybody gets real excited about it, and then smart owners trade him away. But Jonas played 80 games last year, and on totals he was in the top 60, which is surprising to me because I do not remember that.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Jonas is good at what Jonas does, and that's why everyone always wants Jonas to get more minutes. I mean, Jonas is a huge rebounder. Jonas can block a shot. Jonas shoots some decent percentages. It's just Jonas doesn't get the minutes, and Jonas is never going to get the minutes in that situation, but I still think he's better than Steven Adams, just barely.
Yeah, you're 100% right. He's not going to get the minutes. On totals, Adams and Jonas are both guys who get drafted a little later, but if they play, which you never know, but if they play 80 games, which they apparently both did last year, both top 60, top 65 players. Just out of
I'm just excited for the Deep League Special. Are we ready for the Deep League Special?
Hit me with your Deep League Special because there's nothing left on this team.
Andre Roberson, man.
Ooh, are you interested in Andre Roberson? Because I, for one, am not.
Now Andre Roberson has the outside shot at a 1-1-1. Okay, which is the points. This is the block, the steal, and the three. Now, if you look at Mark's projections, 29.5 minutes, 1.1 steals, 0.9 blocks, 0.9 threes. I mean, that could be very valuable in a deep league to get a steal and a block out of a guy who you can play on the wing. And
so I like where you're going with this. So we do champion 1-and-1 guys. Roberson has the potential to play 30-plus minutes a game and be a 1-and-1 guy. Similar to a guy we both like, Mr. Mo Harkless. Now, Mo Harkless can score, not score as much as some players, right? But score enough to be to average double digits. I'm not sure Andre Roberson is a good enough player to average 10 points a game in 30 minutes.
I don't think he is. I think he's like closer to 7 than he is to 10. But
that's pretty bad.
But in a deep league, right, you're eventually – okay, so the across-the-board contributors get going at some point, and then you're looking for categories, right? We talk a lot of times about like guys like Marcus Morris being the deep league special where he's going to give you points and threes. This is the turnaround where, okay, now I need steals and blocks help. This is the guy I go for. Once you get in those deep leagues, like you're only going to get 2, maybe 3 categories, and Roberson's going to give you 5 rebounds, which in a deep league, 5 rebounds can matter, man. I mean, like Daryl Gallinari gets you 5 rebounds.
Yeah, those counting stats really do sneak up on people, and if you're in a bigger league, there is value with Roberson. You're because of the minutes played. You're 100% right.
He's my deep league special for this team for sure.
I like it. That's a good one. Let's move on to a team that you know the most. I'm gonna try to make sure you don't wax on about the jewel of Central California, the Sacramento Kings.
Is it weird to say that I'm somewhat excited about this team?
No, because it's the first time, I think, in a long time that anyone who sort of semi-likes the Sacramento Kings or follows the Sacramento Kings or briefly had a love affair with the Sacramento Kings back in the Jay Will, Mike Bibby, Chris Webber, Peja Stojakovic days, like a certain little boy from Chicago who, when the Bulls were really, really, really terrible. So, Yeah, I'm not mad at you for being excited about the Kings.
I mean, they just have an interesting kind of collection of players this year, and for the first time in a while, they look like they're going in the right direction, which is not something you can always say about Sacramento.
Yeah, I think that's super fair. There's a ton of turnover on this team, and so let me just give you the quick rundown. I think some of these moves actually hurt the fantasy value of some of these players. The late moves, like the addition of Vince Carter and Zach Randolph, but they ended up signing George Hill as well. They got the 5th overall pick with De'Aaron Fox. Justin Jackson is also on this team, and they ended up getting the secretly could be a great pick, could be the worst pick ever due to his injury history, Harry Giles on this team. And I guess let's not forget Bogdan Bogdanovic, who came over who is finally coming over on this team. And then they lost your favorite player, Aaron Aflalo, Darren Collison, the second running of Tyreek Evans in Sacramento, and Rudy Gay, Ty Lawson, Ben McLemore. This is a ton of turnover. So what's the most interesting thing to you in Sacramento this year?
There was one team that I think Mark messed up in his projections. It's the Sacramento Kings.
And you would know, since you are semi-obsessed with the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, here's the deal with this team. They're going to play George Hill about 30 minutes. They're going to play Willie Cauley-Stein probably 29 or 30 minutes. They're going to play Buddy Hield probably pretty close to 30 minutes. Then it gets to be a little bit crazy on who's going to get the minutes. Bogdan Bogdanovic, I think, is going to be pretty much their starting small forward and get somewhere between 27 and 30 minutes a game. They have a ton of depth and a ton of guys they want to get minutes. They got Vince Carter. They got Kosta Koufos, Garrett Temple, Zach Randolph, like all these names. And so the preseason is going to be important for this team. In a standard fantasy league, there's only really 2 guys I'm looking at. Or 3. I should say there's 3 guys I'm looking at. George Hill, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and Willie Cauley-Stein are the only 3 guys I'm even interested in on this team in standard fantasy league.
I think there is a lot of hype around De'Aaron Fox out there in the world, and I think even let's go do my scientific research on Yahoo basketball.com to see where De'Aaron Fox is getting drafted right now. But De'Aaron Fox is a high named rookie, and when people hear a high named rookie, they want to draft that dude. He's going 135th. And I think that is incredibly short-sighted for anyone who pays attention to basketball because they did not sign and pay George Hill a bunch of money for nothing.
And especially early in the season, he's just not going to get minutes. He's just not. He's going to be George Hill's backup. And later on in the season, I can see those two sharing the court some and him getting more minutes, but he can't shoot, which is a problem. He's not going to be good in blocks. He's not going to be good in rebounds. He's not going to score a ton of points. Like, add it all up, and why are you taking this guy in a standard league? Assists?
I mean, are they going to get there in 20-some minutes a game?
No.
If he even gets to, if he maybe for the season he could average 20-some minutes a game, right? Maybe. No idea.
In December or January, he might be a guy I pick up. Because he's finally starting to get some minutes and
if you start seeing him go up, but I'm not wasting a draft pick on him.
Oh, me neither. I'm also not wasting one on Buddy Hield, I don't think.
Interesting. So why do you think Buddy Hield is out of your standard league relevancy?
Well, what is Buddy Hield going to do that's worthwhile in fantasy?
Well, I mean, he did look fairly decent down the stretch when he was playing and had a plenty of opportunity in Sacramento last year. He was scoring. He was hitting some threes.
That's it, though. And so I think maybe he ends up ranked in a standard league, and maybe if I need those 2 categories, I go after him. But I don't really want to pick him because I don't think there's going to be any blocks or steals to speak of.
Yeah, I think when you look at him, what he was doing, the 4 rebounds is a little bit interesting to me. But like, how is he not just an incredibly poor man's Bradley Beal?
He's even crapper though than that. Like
a trash dumpster Bradley Beal.
No blocks. I mean, like if
I need
you
to
look
get a
at
better comparison because Bradley Beal actually stepped his game up, is now incredibly relevant. So like, I need to find a crappier Bradley Beal to compare Buddy Hield to.
Here's who he is. He's the crap man's Eric Gordon, isn't he?
Yeah, that's a much better way of saying it. I think that he's a little bit better at the Cannings test than Eric Gordon is, but he doesn't do anything elite like Aaron Gordon's three-pointers game.
Yeah, but is he though? I mean, Aaron Gordon at least is going to get you like 0.3, 0.4 blocks. He's going to get you 0.7 steals, which Buddy Hield could be like 0.5. Gordon's going to get you 2.5 assists. Like, I don't see any way I want Eric Gordon behind Buddy Hield. I just don't.
I think that's fair because Eric Gordon's going to get plenty of opportunity to be wide open in a D'Antoni offense with Chris Paul and James Harden, and Buddy Hield is going to be on the Sacramento Kings, where he's going to be expected to be the man, I guess. I don't know. Is he their marquee player? And there's plenty of minutes for Buddy Hield, so I can see if you're in a 12-team league and you see him laying around in your final round, you just go, and you know what? I like Buddy Hield. I'm going to take him.
But I guess. Enjoy him, I guess. Enjoy your points and three-pointers and not much else.
I will. He's being drafted at 120 on Yahoo.
If Willie Cauley-Stein gets 30 minutes, he's the guy I'm interested in a standard league. And I want you to click your Yahoo fingers and let me know where he's being drafted, and I'll wax lyrical about why I like him. I like the potential in 30 minutes for a steal and a block, which is sexy. For a center, it's not the world's worst field or free throw percentage. It's going to be like 67%, which isn't great, but it's not horrendous. He's going to shoot good from the field. He's going to give you some good rebounds. I could see like 7.5 rebounds. Not a ton of points, probably like 10, 11, maybe 12 if you're lucky. But I think that late in a draft, that's a good value right there, right? That's a lot of decent categories.
Yeah, I think we just got done talking about a bunch of centers. Would you rather have Willie Cauley-Stein or Jonas Valanciunas?
I mean, I'd rather have Valanciunas there just because I know Valanciunas is going to get me those big rebounds, even if he only plays like 25 minutes a game. And he's going to get you the block. So I think I feel safer about having Jonas Valanciunas.
I think that's fair. Would you rather have him or Steven Adams? Willie Cauley-Stein or Steven Adams?
Steven Adams. I think the question is the Enes Kanter one. I think we're more in that range with Willie Cauley-Stein probably. And
I think I might be a little bit more in on Willie Cauley-Stein than you are, because I think I would take him around that Steven Adams range just for the upside, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some upside there, and Gortat might be the question. Would you rather have Gortat or Willie Cauley-Stein? I think I might.
No, I'm out on Gortat. Gortat is terrible. Gortat is not going to play a ton of minutes. His body is falling apart. You know what? Gortat was one of my favorite sneaky, always good fantasy players, and everyone finally realized that he was a consistently good volume guy a season ago, maybe, or two, maybe 2 seasons ago, and then Gortat fell off, which is great because I got the value out of him, and now he's benefiting me even more by people drafting him way too high in drafts and wasting a good pick.
Here's a guy that I think's getting some pub that I would rather have Willie Cauley-Stein over. Marquise Chris.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we are going to get to Marquise Chris.
Here's why, right? I think Willie Cauley-Stein can give you the steal and the block that Chris can give you. Now, if you need three-pointers, okay, I can see going Marquise Chris. But I think Willie Cauley-Stein shoots better percentages, gives you the same good stats, and a ton of rebounds. Yeah, okay, Marquise Chris might give you more points at threes, but everywhere else, doesn't Willie Cauley-Stein look a little bit better?
Yes, I think so. I like his I like Willie Cauley-Stein's fantasy game, and he is currently on Yahoo going at 93rd, which I think is a little under where I'm going to take him by about a round. I'm that high on Willie Cauley-Stein. I think you're a little bit lower on Willie Cauley-Stein than me.
I think I'm about it.
And I thought you were the Sacramento Kings guy.
I don't think I'm about there. I mean,
a guy who could be 12 and 8.
93rd was fair play. It was fair play to me. I was hoping he'd be a little bit lower just because he was on the Kings, but
I think people are on him. Another guy on this team who I think people are down on, or at least down on for unknown reasons, is George Hill.
George Hill's the guy getting crapped on, and I don't understand it. Cause I think it's the whole we think De'Aaron Fox is going to play over him, which is George Hill the most underrated player in the NBA? Like, I would bet the average fan does not even know George Hill. Okay, so I looked at those ESPN and Sports Illustrated both just released their top 100 players. George Hill was 63rd in Sports Illustrated and 49th in ESPN's.
Wow.
And I bet you the average player the average fan in the league doesn't even know who George Hill is, really.
Well, I'm surprised he was ranked that high. Yeah, because I was expecting a lot of people to just kind of toss him out. And George Hill, with 30-some minutes a game, is a very solid scoring, shooting, good percentage, a steal a game.
I would not be
incredible. He's definitely not a top half draftable guy, but he's a bottom half draftable guy.
And I would not be surprised if he led this team in points this year.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
Points per game. George Hill's always good for an injury, it seems. So he might not lead in total points, but in points per game, I could definitely see him leading the team.
So we just got done talking about someone who is very, very similar to George Hill. I've already forgot who it is, but let's go. I want to go look at that where those point guards are going, right? So George Hill is not really a true point guard, and he's not going to get a ton of assists. But we talk about that hard fall off after Elfrid Payton, D'Angelo Russell, Drew Holiday. We're kind of pushing down in the rankings, right? So would you rather have Jeremy Lin or George Hill?
I think I'd rather have Jeremy Lin.
It's a tough one. I think that's right around where we're talking about, because we were talking about Rondo in that kind of same space, right? But I would much rather have George Hill than Rajon Rondo.
Oh, 100%. I'm on with that.
Yeah, by a lot. I think Jeremy Lin, right, has a sneakily higher ceiling than George Hill. I think we know who George Hill can be. And we know that I think Jeremy Lin has shown that his ceiling is higher than George Hill's.
Yeah, I'm definitely in on Jeremy Lin this year, but look at where George Hill's going in drafts.
Yeah, let's find out. Dun, 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 dun. George Hill is the 78th pick in Yahoo.
I mean,
seems fair.
But I think I was on ESPN that he's ranked way low.
Yeah, I think what he's ranked has been low across the board and a little too low for what I think he can produce in Sacramento, being basically like he's the star of this team, technically.
Yeah, I mean, here's kind of what, if you want a breakdown of what I think happens, he probably gives you 4 rebounds, probably 4 to 4.5 assists, a steal. I wouldn't be surprised if he scored 16, 17 points, probably 0.2 blocks, probably pretty close to 2 3-pointers. He's a really good 3-point shooter, 40% the last 2 years from 3. Good percentages on both. I mean, I just really like George Hill. I think that he's criminally underrated from time to time.
You're not trying to throw him into the 6th round or anything like that, but I think I agree with you. He's being underrated. So I want you to tell me about your 3rd Standard League value player. Why is a player that I would assume a lot of people have never even heard of or will mistake him for his brother, who is not actually his brother, Bogdan Bogdanovic? Why do you like him so much?
They are not related, people. They are from 2 completely different countries. They are not brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles, stepbrothers. They do have the same last name, but they are not related. So here's kind of why I think he's a sneaky late pick. Name a small forward they have on this team.
Oof. Bogdan Bogdanovic. I mean,
they don't have another guy.
Is Vince Carter still a 3, or is he a 2?
No, not really. He's too slow. I mean, I think he's going to get minutes there, but he just can't guard the. Could you see Vince Carter?
Justin Jackson, the rookie,
can't play mid. Not going to get a minute. Got to play for the G League team in Reno, I think.
Wow, that's the hottest take of the night. Is that you think Justin Jackson is going to be in the G League? I disagree, but
the three guys who get minutes at this position are Bogdanovich, Garrett Temple, maybe some Vince Carter, and then Buddy Hield.
At the 3.
Because I think especially later on in the season, they're going to play Hill and Fox together, and Hield could be out there a little bit at the 3.
So where would you take Bogdan in a standard league draft? I assume pretty late, because I'm looking at his some of his projected stats, and I know he hasn't played in the NBA or whatever. But is there anything he does that's outstanding? Is he a solid across the board guy, or is he an elite one category guy?
I think he's going to be a solid across the board guy. I think he's a pretty good 3-point shooter. I think he's going to get you a steal pretty close. I think it could be like 3 assists and like 4.5 rebounds. I think it could be like 12, 13 points. I mean, we start adding it up, right? That's a last pick that I don't think anyone's going to be on.
No one's going to be on that. I don't think anybody's going to be on him in a 12-team league.
And
that's a good 12th round pick.
I mean, and there's some value in that. So I'm not saying like pick him in the 10th round. I'm saying I like him for a last pick with some upside who should get some minutes, and he looks like he's going to be a decent across the board contributor. Nothing flashy, nothing spectacular, but a nice. And in a deep league, which I think you get some real good value in a deep league, like in a 14, 16 team league, you might be able to get this guy with like one of your last pick or two.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, especially in those deep leagues. This guy's a guy to target in those late rounds that no one's really going to pay attention to, unless someone mistakes him for the other Bogdanovich.
Yeah, and I mean, I like him better than his brother.
Wow.
Not his brother.
So I actually have the deep league value of the Sacramento Kings. I am going to take this segment.
All right, let's hear it.
And my deep league value is Skal Labissière.
I see. I thought you were going to blow it.
One of the best names in the NBA.
Here's what the narrative is, right? That Zach Randolph's going to take his minutes. Zach Randolph can't play more than 25 minutes a game anymore. He just can't. He's old. The legs are shot. He can't guard anyone. He's basically a 5 now. They really only have one power forward, in my opinion, and it's Skal Labissière.
Skal Labissière. Pass the Labissière.
Carter will play some minutes there because Vince Carter's old and slow, and he needs to guard someone, and they're the only guys he can guard anymore. I like Labissière for like 28 minutes, easy and pushing up the.
Yeah, let me tell you why I like him. Not just because of what you said, the playing time. The playing time is there, right? But the reason why I like him in fantasy is that when you start looking at his per 36, he starts looking like a 1-and-1 type of player. Let me read you a few stat lines from last year. This is my second go-to. So I look at their 36. I see, he's got a chance to get the counting stats. If he played starters minutes, that's good to see, right? But then I go, well, what has he actually done? Has he had any flashes? Let me read you 2 stat lines. 25 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in 31 minutes. That was Skal Labissière down the stretch last year, and an even more impressive 32 freaking points, a 3-pointer, 11 rebounds, and 2 steals. He also had a 4-block game. The guy's kind of all over the place. He's 21 years old, and if he ever is able to hone all those pieces of talent, right? So we could be looking at a Mo Harkless situation where it never comes to fruition, but Mo Harkless, he ends up being a really good 9-cat across the board type of guy who gets you like 0.7 in the counting stats and whatever. But Skal Labissière at 21, who's dropped 32 points in an NBA game, now you got me interested.
Yeah, and I think he could be good. And he could push his way to standard league value this season. I'm not picking him yet, but I think he could push his way up there and be standard league relevant.
I got my eye on his ceiling is definitely standard league value. And if I'm in a deeper league, Skal Labissière is going to be on my team.
Not a bad pick, my friend.
See, I know some of these deeper guys, even though I like the shallower leagues. I got my eye on some of these high potential type guys.
I've got my eye on you.
Ooh, that could be the next segment we do. So I think that's it for tonight. We got only 2 more teams left, so that's excellent news. And we're going to be, like we said earlier, getting into some Roto head-to-head strategy, doing some draft projections based on who you would take in the first round. We got a lot of stuff coming because the season is sneaking up on us. It's less than 4 weeks away.
It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait for preseason. Can't wait to do start hitting my drafts. Which are people's drafts are starting to come up, so we got to get some good draft content out there for the people to digest before their draft. If you got questions about your draft, or if you want to be in a league, a listener league with me and Tyler, feel free to tweet at us. Tyler, what's your Twitter handle?
At Watsy4444.
That is 4 4s. 1 4 for all the number 4 and all the 4s. No, just 4 4s. I tried to do something there, it didn't work. And you can find me at Watch the Boxes, all one word. Feel free to hit us up if you want to be in this listener league, or tweet at #basketball, the #basketball Twitter account, and we will get you signed up. I don't think there's very few. There's only a few positions left, so get on it.
Get them in there. Let's do it.
Cool. So yeah, that is it for tonight. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and have a good one.